So inside our header, let's go ahead and say const links is equal to an array of objects. So we want to create the links that we have. We know that one is called all events, and then the href for this is going to be /all-events because that is the route. And then the second link is going to be the title. It's going to have a title rather of create event, and then it's going to have an href of /create event because that is the route that we have just created. Now inside here, inside my header, I want to go ahead and return a header element like so. And then inside the header element, I'm going to have a div, and this div is going to be rendering, for now it's just going to have the home icon. Now the home, make sure that you get the home or the home icon flow from Lucid React. And we already installed Lucid React rather, or rather it was already installed when we cloned the repository. And the home here is going to say the following. It's going to have a class name here of size-5, and it's going to have an opacity of 75. It's going to have a class of transition, and then when you hover over it, it's going to have an opacity of 100. And then this is going to say welcome, and then it's going to say your name right here. Now we can implement the name right away, and the way we do that once again is just like we did in the 404 page, but in this case we really have to use the client component, because when we are mapping over these links, we also want to show the active link. And the way we do that in NextJs is by using a hook called usePathName. And so because we are using a hook, then the component has to be a client component. So use client directive on the top, and then refactor this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say const pathname is equal to use pathname from next navigation. Make sure that you import it from next navigation. And then we also want to destructure the user. So what am I doing right there? So I'm going to say const user is equal to use kind browser client, like so. And then what we need to do now is we need to get the name of the user. So first of all, I want to check whether the user exists. So if the user exists, then we want to return the user.given_name. And then if the user does not exist, then we just want to return nothing. Now let me see. If the user does not exist, I don't want to show this comma. So let me just remove that comma. So if the user welcome, and the comma should be inside here like so. Oh, that's not going to work because now I need to transform this entire thing. Okay, let's just go ahead and do that. Let me close that. So let's see, place this inside backticks. So inside backticks, and then I need to place my $sign here, close it out at the end, so that now I can say comma. Wait, is that going to work? You know what, let me just not do all that. Let me just leave it at that. So welcome, and then it's going to give you the name. And then if you're not logged in, then it's not going to show the name. Or that if the name does not exist, if the person did not give the name, then it just shows nothing. Now once we do that, at the end of this, I want to show an icon that is the chevron down icon, which is coming from Lucid React right there. And you know what, these icons should probably be on the same level. Anyway, now once we do that, then let's go ahead and create our navigation. So right below this div, we're going to have a nav element, and then inside this nav element, we're going to have a UL with a class of flex and flex wrap and items, items.center, and then justify center with a gap of 4. And then inside this UL, we're going to map over our links. So links.map, and then for every link object that we get back, we want to return a list item with a key of link.href, because the href is the unique. We only have 2 of them, and you can see that the href is unique for both of them, and even the title is unique for both of them. So you can use the href of the title as the link. And then inside this, we're going to render out a button component from .ui ./UI button, make sure that it is the correct button from your components. And then the button here is going to have an as child prop, so that inside this button we can go ahead and render out the link from next link with an href that goes into link.href, and then close it out. And then the text for this is going to say link.title. So now when I save that, we should be able to see something on the screen once it reloads. And there we go. So we have our header right here looking a bit ugly, and then we have all events and create event, so that now we can navigate into the all events page, you can see right there, and the create event page. Now let's go ahead and fix our header. So the header is going to have the following class names. We're going to give it a class name here of fixed. Now fixed because I want it to scroll with us. When events become so many, I want the header to scroll with us, so that you don't have to navigate all the way back to the top to navigate into the next page, right? So fixed, and then we're going to give it a left of a half, and then we're going to say give it a z index of 10 and mx auto and margin top of 6, width of full, max width 4xl, max width dash 4xl, and then minus translate on the x-axis by a half, so that it brings it to the perfect center, and then rounded dash full, and then give it a border, and then a border dash neutral dash 700, and then give it a bg of neutral dash 800, and then give it an opacity of 50, and then give it a padding on the x of 6, padding on the y 3, and then give it a backdrop, padding on the y of 3, give it a backdrop dash blur dash medium. Now the reason for the backdrop blur and the reason for the 50% opacity right here is to give it a glassmorphic effect, so that when you scroll over it, it looks glassy when you scroll, when it is over an item. And then of course let's fix this, and that's very simple to fix. All you need to do is just go right here inside this div, give it a class name of flex wrap items center, justify, and actually is that the correct div? Is that the correct div? Okay, flex wrap items center, justify start, give it a gap of 4, gap of 2, not of 4, so that it just deals with that. And then let's see, we have a margin somewhere. We have a margin somewhere. What's this? This is the div, this is the nav. Oh, you know what? I have noticed my mistake. This div should wrap the nav as well. It should wrap the nav element as well, like so. So that now we can go inside this div and give this div a class name of flex and item center, and justify dash between, and then give it a gap of 4. And then of course flex wrap, so that it automatically wraps into the next line. And we have that. Fantastic. So that now this needs to be wrapped inside another div, like so. CSS guys, oh my god, will you stop? Will you really stop? It doesn't want to stop. So once again, give this a class name of flex. Let me see how it looks. Okay, and then items as center, gap 2. That should now fix it. Fantastic. There we go. Now we're going to modify this a bit more, so that when you click on this, it opens up a model. But for now, this will suffice. Now, what I want to do is I want to show the active link. So when I navigate into the all events page, I want this button to be white, right? So what I'm going to do is inside the button, we're going to give it a variant here that is dynamic. And so we're going to say this. I'm going to place in my backticks like so, and my $, and then I'm going to say when the link.href is equal to the path name, which we got from right here from use path name. So when these two match, it means that you're on the active link. So when it evaluates to true, then we want to go ahead and show a white button, which is the variant of secondary. And then when it is false, we want to show the default button like so. And I didn't talk about it, but if you go ahead and click this button, control click rather, you will notice that the button has some variants here. So these are the variants that I'm using. I haven't created anything new because it's just simpler. And that's basically, if you go ahead and Control B to open the sidebar and navigate into your button.jsx file, that is basically the button.jsx file. Now, if you don't like how it looks, you can simply go ahead and modify the styles inside here, or you can go ahead and add a new variant and then give in the styles that you want and then use that variant instead. But this is okay for me, and then I want these buttons will be perhaps a bit smaller, but I think even this size is okay. So that now you see that when I navigate into the create events page, then this now becomes the active link, and when I go back, then this becomes the active link. So that is looking okay. This should say create event singular, create event. Fantastic.